I never thought I'd pull a loaded shotgun on a squad car in broad daylight, but there I was, finger itching on the trigger, staring down the barrel of my own unraveling life as that smug bitch from the HOA rolled up with badges in tow. The moment her lips curled into that fake-ass smile and she whispered "trespasser" to the dispatcher, I knew she'd crossed the line from nosy neighbor to full-blown tyrant. But what she didn't count on was me flipping the script with a single phone call that made her empire crumble like a house of cards in a hurricane. And just like that, the queen of cul-de-sac covenants learned the hard way that in Texas, blood runs thicker than bylaws, and revenge tastes sweeter than sweet tea on a scorched summer afternoon. It all started 6 months back, when I inherited the old double-bar ranch from my granddaddy, a sprawling 500-acre spread just outside Austin, the kind of place where the horizon swallows you whole and the stars at night feel close enough to snag with a lasso. Granddaddy had clawed that land out of the Dust Bowl dreams of the 30s, turning scrub brush into prime grazing for longhorns that fetched top dollar at the markets. He was a Marine, tough as boot leather, the sort who taught me to shoot before I could spell, and on his deathbed, he gripped my hand like a vice and rasped, "Boy, this here's your legacy. Don't let no pencil pusher take it from you." I nodded, throat tight, promising I'd hold the line. Little did I know, the biggest threat wouldn't come from coyotes or droughts, but from a bleached blonde harpy in a Tesla named Karen Whitaker. I was Jake Harlan, 38, fresh off a divorce that left me hollowed out like a spent shotgun shell, crashing at the ranch in a beat-up F-150 with nothing but a cooler of Shiner Bock and a dog named Butch who snore like a chainsaw. I'd been grinding as a roughneck in the Permian Basin for years, sending checks home to a wife who decided my calluses weren't sexy enough for her yoga retreats in Sedona. The ranch was my reset button, a chance to breathe real air instead of rig fumes. But the east fence butted up against Willow Creek Estates, one of those cookie-cutter McMansion hellholes where folks paid 6 figures to pretend they were cowboys without the dirt under their nails. Karen was the undisputed empress of that suburbia swamp, CEO of some mid-tier marketing firm, Whitaker Dynamics, peddling ad space for strip malls and solar panels. She clawed her way up from a trailer park in East Texas, or so the gossip went. Now she lorded over the Willow Creek HOA like it was her personal fiefdom, finding folks for untrimmed hedges or the wrong shade of mailbox blue. Her husband, Greg, was a limp dish rag of accountant who trailed her like a shadow, nodding along to her tirades. They had 2 kids, perfect little robots in monogram polos, and a golden retriever that shit on the communal green without consequence. Karen's weapon of choice? The covenants, conditions, and restrictions, CC and RS, that governed every blade of grass in Willow Creek, and she'd been itching to extend her tentacles onto my side of the fence. It began innocently enough. A polite letter on embossed stationery slid under my gate like a serpent's tongue. "Dear Mr. Harlan, as president of the Willow Creek Homeowners Association, I must inform you that your property's unkempt appearance is negatively impacting our community's aesthetic standards. Please trim the overgrowth along the shared boundary within 14 days or face enforcement actions." Unkempt? That was mesquite and live oak, wild as God intended, shading my cattle from the brutal Texas sun. I crumpled it up, chucked it in the burn barrel, and lit a match. Butch barked approval from the porch. But Karen didn't quit. Next came the drone flyovers, her fancy DJI buzzing my airspace like a mechanical mosquito, snapping pics of my rusted windmill and the chicken coop I'd slapped together from scrap. Then the anonymous complaints to the county. Noise violations from my tractor at dawn. It was 6 a.m., not midnight. Water runoff allegedly flooding her infinity pool during flash floods. News to me, as the creek had run that way since the Comanches roamed. She even sicked animal control on me once, claiming my longhorns were wandering pests, when one hopped the fence for a midnight snack on her hybrid St. Augustine turf. I paid the fine, $200 I didn't have, grinding my teeth till they ached. I tried playing nice once. Drove over in my dusty truck, hat in hand, to her annual block party. Think charcuterie boards and Chardonnay under string lights. She was holding court by the fire pit, regaling the neighbors with tales of her latest boardroom conquests, her laugh like shattering glass. Jake Harlan, The prodigal rancher, she cooed, extending a manicured hand that smelled like lavender lotion and entitlement. We've been expecting you. Your grandfather was such a character. But times change. Willow Creek is about progress, not preservation. I bit back the urge to tell her where she could shove her progress, instead mumbling about the fence line. Her eyes narrowed, that predatory gleam flashing. Oh, honey, it's not just the fence. It's the whole vibe. We're building a gym, a spa, real amenities. Your little hobby farm is cramping our style. Hobby farm? That land had fed generations. I left with a plastic cup of warm rose sloshing in my gut, vowing to keep my distance. Distance was a joke. 2 weeks later, her crew showed up at dawn, landscapers in matching polos, wielding chainsaws like they owned the deed. They hacked at the brush on my side, splintering century-old post oaks, claiming it was mutual maintenance per some buried clause in the original plat map from '89, when Willow Creek annexed the buffer zone without my granddaddy's signature. I came out hollering, shotgun unloaded but pumped for effect, scattering them like quail. This is private property, assholes. Get off or I'll ventilate your tires. The foreman, a sweaty kid named Tito, threw up his hands. Lady said it's a jurisdiction, man. She's got lawyers. Lawyers. Of course. That night, I pored over deeds in the dim glow of my kitchen bulb, coffee going cold. Turns out, Granddaddy had leased a sliver of grazing rights to the developers back in the day, a piddly 10 acres for pipeline access, but the fine print was a snake pit. Karen's crew had twisted it into a full easement claim, arguing my neglect forfeited reversionary rights. I call my old Army buddy, Lance, now a real estate attorney in Dallas. She's bluffing Jake. He drawled over the line, voice thick with cigar smoke. But she's got money and motive. What's her endgame? I glanced out the window at the lights of Willow Creek twinkling like false promises. Subdivision. Turn my ranch into another row of her McMansions. The backlash started small. Online reviews tanking my side hustle. Fixing fences for locals. Whispered as unreliable redneck. Then the signs. No trespassing stakes hammered into my soil by her dawn patrol, as if I were the intruder. Neighbors I'd known since Little League, like old man Ramirez next door, started avoiding my eyes at the feed store, muttering about pressure from the board. Karen's reach was viral. She'd posted grainy drone footage on the Willow Creek Facebook group, captioned protecting our paradise from encroachment. Likes poured in 200, 300, emojis of praying hands, and thumbs up from yoga moms and tech bros telecommuting from fold-out desks. I felt the squeeze, that slow crush of isolation. Butch sensed it too, pressing his muzzle to my knee during sleepless nights, whining low. But rage has a way of sharpening focus. I started documenting. Trail cams catching her crew at midnight, time-stamped trespasses, emails from her domain laced with veiled threats. Compliance is key, Mr. Harlan. Or consequences follow. Consequences. The word echoed like a gavel. One humid July evening, as thunderheads piled up like bruises on the sky, I got the call that lit the fuse. It was Tito again, voice shaky. Mr. Harlan, she's escalating. Board vote tomorrow. Eminent domain push through the county. Says your water table's contaminating our wells with cow shit. Eminent domain? For a ranch that predated their zip code? I slammed the receiver down, storming to the barn where Granddaddy's old Remington hung dusty on pegs. Time to clean house. But revenge isn't a solo ride. I needed allies. First stop, Sheriff Tom Riley, a grizzled vet with a paunch and a penchant for Whataburger at midnight. We'd bonded over poker nights back when I was in high school, him dealing me my first hand of Texas Hold'em. Karen Whitaker, he chuckled into his mustache over the phone. That one's a Barracuda. Called me last week about a suspicious vehicle. Turn out to be the ice cream man. I laid it out, the encroachments, the lies. Tom, she's gunning for my land. You know the history. Silence, then a sigh. Jake, HOA's got pull these days. Developers donate big to campaigns. But, off the record, fight dirty. She's got no idea who she's messing with. Who she was messing with. That stuck. See, my family's roots ran deeper than oak taps. Granddaddy wasn't just a rancher. He was a Harlan, as in Harlan County, Kentucky. Moonshiners turned cattle kings, with a web of connections that spanned governors to generals. My uncle, Colonel Elias Harlan, retired, sat on the state AG commission, whispering in ears from Austin to D.C. And me? I'd done a stint in the reserves, logistics, nothing flashy, but enough to know how chains of command worked. Higher rank than a sheriff? Hell, I could call on markers that made badges look like bottle caps. The board meeting was set for the Willow Creek Clubhouse, a faux adobe eyesore with a ballroom that smelled like bleach and desperation. Karen had rallied her troops, PowerPoint slides graphing property value erosion, my fault, naturally, testimonials from teary-eyed residents about safety concerns, wildlife, they claimed, raccoons, not me. I crashed it uninvited, slipping in the back with a thermos of black coffee, Butch's leash coiled in my pocket like a rattlesnake. She spotted me mid-slide, her Botox smile freezing. "Mr. Harlan, this is a private proceeding." I stood, slow, letting the room's AC hum fill the pause. "Private? On land my blood sweat built? Y'all are stealing my birthright, and I'm here to witness the crime." Gasps rippled. A Karen clone in pearls clutched her pearls. Greg shifted uncomfortably, avoiding my glare. She recovered quick, voice honeyed venom. "Theft implies ownership, darling. Your lease expired decades ago. We're simply reclaiming. Reclaiming." The word ignited something primal. I pulled out my folder, Lance's handiwork, deeds cross-referenced, affidavits from county surveyors debunking her easement fairy tale. "This says different. And if you push eminent, I'll bury you in appeals till your grandkids are gray." The room erupted. Whispers to shouts. "He's bluffing. Call security." But Karen's eyes darted, calculating. She adjourned sharp, herding her flock out, but not before hissing at me in the hall, breath like stale mints. "You think you're tough, cowboy? I've crushed bigger egos in depositions. Walk away, or I'll make sure you lose everything." Lose everything. The threat landed like a gut punch, visions of eviction notices and auction blocks flashing. I watched her peel out in that gleaming SUV, taillights mocking me in the dusk. That night, the storm broke, rain lashing the tin roof like accusations. I paced the porch, lightning forking the sky, Butch at my heels. Sleep was a stranger. Instead, I plotted. Step 1. Amplify the outrage. I fired up my laptop, ancient as it was, and posted to the Austin subreddit. Raw footage of her chainsaw massacre, overlaid with audio of her threats, captioned, "HOA tyrant destroys historic ranch. Help me fight back." Views ticked up, 100, 500, 1K. Comments flooded. "Sue her ass." Karen's got a Karen. A local news blogger bit, interviewing me over Zoom, my face shadowed, voice gravel. "This ain't about grass. It's corporate greed swallowing family land." The backlash hit her like a freight train. By morning, Karen Gate trended in Central Texas circles. Memes of her drone as a UFO invasion. Petitions circling for HOA dissolution. Willow Creek's group chat imploded. Defectors leaked her emails, revealing kickback from developers salivating over my acreage for a luxury equestrian village. Greg called me, voice quivering. "Jake, please." She's unraveling. The firm's board is asking questions. Unraveling. Music to my ears. But Karen doubled down, her specialty. 2 days later, the eviction squad arrived, 2 deputies in crisp khakis, lights flashing, but no sirens, pulling up my gravel drive like they owned it. She alighted from the passenger side. Wait. No, she was in the lead cruiser, perched like a vulture, directing traffic with a wave of her iPad. "Mr. Harlan, this is Deputy Mills. Ms. Whitaker has filed for immediate removal under trespass and nuisance statutes. You'll need to vacate." Vacate. My home, my heart. The world narrowed to that moment. Rain-slicked earth steaming under tires, deputies' hands hovering near holsters, Karen's smirk a slash of red lipstick. Butch growled low from the porch. I stepped out slow, hands visible but inside. "A volcano. On what grounds?" The deputy, young, green, fumbled his tablet. "Ma'am says." HOA enforcement, sir. Court order pending. Pending. Bluff. But her eyes dare me to fold. That's why I did the unthinkable. Walked back inside, grabbed Granddaddy's loaded Remington. Safety off, chamber racked with a metallic snick that echoed like Judgment Day. Stepped out, leveled it not at them, but skyward, and fired once, the boom shattering the tension like glass. Birds exploded from the oaks. The deputies hit the dirt, shouting, "Drop it!" Karen shrieked, scrambling behind the door, her Tesla a distant white whale. "He's insane. Arrest him." But I didn't drop it. Instead, I pulled my phone, hit record, and dialed. Not 911. Them already there, but a private line, one I kept dusty for emergencies. "Colonel Harlan? It's Jake. Willow Creek line." Now, the pause on the other end was eternal. Then, "Copy that, nephew. Sit tight. Sit tight." As federal badges outranked county stars. What unfolded next was chaos scripted by karma. Within minutes, sirens wailed. Not more locals, but black SUVs, plates obscured, disgorging suits with earpieces and attitudes. Feds? No, better. State AG enforcement, backed by my uncle's commission pull, converging like wolves on a lame deer. They cordoned the drive, flashing warrants, not mine, hers. "Ms. Whitaker, you're under investigation for fraud, falsified documents, and environmental violations. Step out. Hands where we can see him." Her face when they cuffed her, priceless. That porcelain mask cracked, mascara rivers down cheeks as cameras, mine, the news chopper I tipped off, captured every sob. This is a mistake. I'm the victim. Victim. The irony burned sweet. Greg arrived in his Prius, kids wide-eyed in the back, as tow trucks hauled her precious SUV for evidence. The deputies? Reassigned, pending review, their boss, Sheriff Riley, pulling strings to save face, muttering apologies over my fence next day. The story exploded nationally. Ranchers stand against HOA Hellcat on Fox, entitled exec brought low by Legacy Land, in Statesman. Petitions swelled to 50K signatures. Her firm suspended her pending inquiry, stock dipping like a stone. Willow Creek's board dissolved overnight. Neighbors toppling her statuesque regime with votes and vitriol. I watched from my porch, shotgun retired to the rack, a cold Lone Star sweating in my fist, Butch sprawled content. But victory's aftertaste? Bitter as bile. Turns out, in the frenzy, Lance uncovered dirt on Granddaddy. A wartime loan he defaulted on, collateral whispers that could have lost the ranch decades back if not for a judge's favor. Karen's probe had cracked that seal. IRS audits loomed, liens threatening to nibble my empire. And me? The hero tag chafed. Nightmares of that shotgun blast replayed, the what-ifs clawing. One twitch, and I'd be the villain in orange, not her. Karen? She lawyered up, countersued for defamation, but it fizzled. Her evidence a house of cards, her allies scattering like roaches. Last I heard, she relocated to Florida, peddling real estate seminars on HOA harmony, voice hoarse from screaming matches with mirrors. Greg divorced her, got custody, moved the kids to his folks in Houston. Willow Creek. Sold off piecemeal, my fence rebuilt taller, the creek running free again. As for me, I walked the ridges at dawn, wind whispering Granddaddy's warnings, wondering if revenge mends or just scars deeper. The ranch endures, but the man holding the deed? Forever changed, shotgun scars on his soul. The dust hadn't even settled from that shotgun echo when the Real storm hit. Not the thunderheads rolling in from the Gulf, but the kind that brews in newsrooms and courtrooms, the slow grind of public crucifixion. I figured popping off a round would scatter him like buckshot on skeet, buy me breathing room to lawyer up proper. Wrong. Karen's meltdown went viral faster than a cat video, her shrieking pleas trending under ranch rage, turning my stand into a Rorschach test for every grudge holder in America. By noon, my inbox, usually just spam for tractor parts and erectile dysfunction pills, was a war zone, death threats from her cult, redneck terrorist, marriage proposals from blue-collar queens, marry me, Jake, and interview requests from podcasters sniffing for clicks. I ignored most, holding up with Butch and a stack of frozen taquitos. But one call pierced the fog, My ex, Mandy, voice syrupy with faux concern. Saw you on CNN, Jake. Hero or hothead? Either way, don't drag our daughter into this. Our daughter, Lily, 10, the one casualty of her split I regretted most, shuttled between Sedona sunsets and Austin sleepovers. She's fine. I grunted, but the line went dead, leaving static and regret. Sheriff Riley swung by that evening, cruiser idling at the gate like a guilty conscience. He leaned on the hood, Stetson tipped back, offering a Whataburger sack as peace, double patty melt, extra onions my weakness. Jake, you dumb Sinuva bitch, he drawled, unwrapping his own. Feds are pissed, but your uncle pulled rank. No charges on the discharge. Warning shot, they called it. But Whitaker, she's lawyered to the hilt, crying harassment, slander, the works. I chewed slow, grease dripping, staring at the hoof prints in the mud. She started it, Tom, encroaching like kudzu. He nodded, eyes crinkling. I know, but HOA's got lobbyists thicker than thieves. Watch your six. Watch my six. Military lingo from a man who'd never served, but it stuck. That night, as coyotes yipped challenges to the moon, I rigged motion lights around the barn, paranoia prickling like chiggers. Sleep came in fits, dreams of Karen's face morphing into granddaddy's, accusing, "You shamed us, boy." Shamed? Was that what this was? Or justice serve raw? Dawn brought the vultures, reporters in rental Hyundais, banging gates for sound bites. I stonewalled, but one slipped through, a sharp-eyed gal from Texas Monthly, Elena Vasquez, with a notebook and no bullshit. Mr. Harlan, is this about land or legacy? Or just one man's grudge against a powerful woman? Powerful. The word chafed. Over coffee black as tar on her tape recorder, I spilled. The letters, the drones, the chainsaws carving my heartwood. She nodded, pen flying. And the gun? Calculated or cornered animal? Cornered. Yeah, both, I admitted. Her article dropped a week later. The Last Rancher. How One Man Stand Exposed HOA Tyranny. 4 pages of prose that painted me as David to her Goliath, complete with sidebars on Texas land wars dating to the Republic. The outrage swelled. Protests popped up outside Willow Creek's gates. Signs reading Karens Keep Out and Ranch Lives Matter, a ragtag mix of libertarians and Oakleys and retirees with folding chairs, chanting for reform. Online, my subreddit post hit 100K upvotes. GoFundMe poured in $50 grand for Harlan legal defense, enough to retain Lance full-time. He called from his high-rise, cigar chomping audible. We're golden, Jake. Discovery's a gold mine. Her emails read like a mobster's ledger. Bribes to the county clerk for that bogus plat? Check. Falsified surveys? Double check. She's toast. Toast, but fighting filthy. Karen's counterpunch landed via ambush. Oppressor at her firm's HQ, flanked by attorneys in $1,000 suits, tear-streaked but defiant. Cameras rolled as she clutched a tissue, voice quavering. This man, this aggressor, threatened my life, terrorized my family. All I wanted was community harmony. But he chose violence over dialogue. Violence. The word twisted like barbed wire. Clips spliced my shotgun blast with her sobs. Hashtags flipping to justice for Karen. Her fans mobilized. Boycotts on my feed store accounts. Supports domestic terrorism. Doxing attempts that had me changing my oil in the dead of night. Eyes scanning mirrors. Worse, the personal bleed. Lily's school called. Mandy had yanked her from Austin visits, citing safety risks. I drove to the custody drop-off anyway, heart pounding, only to find an empty lot and a note from my ex taped to the chain link. Stay away till the circus folds, Jake. For her sake. For her sake. The rejection stung deeper than buckshot, leaving me hollow, staring at faded crayon drawings on the fridge. But isolation breeds invention. I leaned into the chaos, starting a podcast, Ranch Rants, from my kitchen table, mic'd up with garage sale gear. First episode, The Karen Chronicles, recounting her trespasses with sound bites and Granddaddy's old field recordings of cattle drives for ambience. Download spiked. Guests lined up, disgruntled ex-HOA victims, land rights activists, even as senators aid promising bills to cap association powers. Listeners ate it up, comments a chorus. You're our voice, brother. Burn it down. But late nights, scrolling her old posts, fundraisers for women in STEM, pics of her at galas arm in arm with Greg, I glimpsed the fracture. Not monster, just monster maker, ambition's ugly child. The hearing loomed. Temporary injunction on her eviction play. County courthouse in Georgetown, a squat brick bunker smelling of floor wax and fried okra from the cafe next door. I suited up. Wrangler's iron crisp, BULO tie from Granddaddy's drawer. Lance at my elbow, whispering odds. 80% we crush it. But she's got a judge in pocket, old golf buddy. Pocket. The system, rotten as roadkill. Courtroom was a pressure cooker. Reporters crammed benches. Karen front row in Chanel, eyes daggers over her lawyer's shoulder. Judge Harlan, no relation. Thank Christ. Gavelled order, face like weathered limestone. Her side opened. Slideshows of damages, hacked trees, hers, polluted views, mine, testimonials from neighbors swearing I howled at the moon, liars. Then her ace, body cam from the deputies, my shotgun booming eternal, her scream piercing. Gasp from the gallery. Lance squeezed my knee under the table. My turn. Lance dismantled her house of lies. Expert witnesses debunking surveys, emails printed poster size, projected like indictments. I took the stand last, voice steady as I swore in. Your Honor, this ain't about a fence or a fine. It's my home, my history. She saw dollar signs and swung a sledge. Cross-exam was brutal, her shark and pinstripes probing. Ever threaten Ms. Whitaker? No. Pull a weapon? Pause. To protect my property. The gallery murmured. Karen's lip curled, but her eyes? Flickers of fear. Recess hit like a gut check. I stepped out for air, Butch waiting in the truck when Greg cornered me by the vending machine. Ty Askew, breath beery. Jake, call it off. She's cracking, pills, therapy. The kids ask why mommy cries. Cracking. Part of me pitted the wreck, but the ranch's ghosts whispered no quarter. Tell her to withdraw, Greg, or watch it all burn. He slunk away, shoulders slumped. Verdict dropped at dusk. Injunction denied, her claims frivolous and malicious. Cheers erupted. I stood numb as Lance slapped my back. Karen bolted, heels clicking fury, but not before whirling on me in the hall, face a mask of rage. You think this ends it, Harlan? I'll bury you in appeals, liens, whatever it takes. Bury. The threat echoed, but hollow now. Outside, rain slicked the steps, sky weeping catharsis. Elena waited with her crew. Mike thrust forward. Victory, Mr. Harlan. Victory. I glanced at the horizon. Ranch lights faint but fierce. Step 1. The war's just warming. But war's wound. That night, alone with takeout, lo mein, and a six-pack, I cracked, not from triumph, but the toll. Lily's absence a knife twist. The public's gaze a spotlight, scorching secrets. A letter arrived next mail. Anonymous, typed neat. You won the battle, but lost your soul. She's not the villain. You are. Villain. The word lodged, festering. Fall crept in slow, painting the pecans gold and the air crisp with wood smoke, but peace? That was a myth, chased like a mirage across cracked earth. The injunction when bought time, not tranquility. Karen's appeals machine hummed from high-rent offices in Houston, filing motions like buckshot, each one nicking deeper into my reserves. The GoFundMe cash kept Lance on retainer, but bills piled. Fence repairs, legal fees, a new roof after hail punched holes like accusations. I patched what I could, hands blistered on wire and shingles. Butch my silent foreman, but exhaustion was a stalker, whispering doubts in the quiet hours. Public fever cooled to embers, but the scars smoldered. Ranch Rants hit 10K subscribers, sponsors trickling in, beef jerky brands, land survey apps, but trolls infested the chats. Fake cowboy, real felon wannabe. Lily's visits resumed, tentative, her small hand in mine as we fed the chickens. But Mandy's glares from the rear view said trust was fractured, an eggshell under boot. Daddy, why's everyone mad at you? She'd ask, pigtails bobbing. I'd ruffle her hair, lie smooth. Just grown-up games, bug. Pass the feed. Games. If only. Karen's count of moves escalated subtle, surgical. First, the whispers, anonymous tips to child services, claiming my volatile environment endangered Lily. Gun racks, isolation, witnessed aggression. Caseworker visited unannounced, notepad in hand, eyeing the Remington like it might sprout legs. Mr. Harlan, we're concerned about stability. Stability. I showed her the safe, the playroom corner with Lily's dolls, the chore chart in pink marker. She left unconvinced, but the file stayed open, a sword over my neck. Then the economic squeeze. Willow Creek's remnant board, Karen's puppets, strings cut but twitching, lobbied suppliers. No more feed deliveries from Austin Co-op, ethical concerns, no part from the tractor dealer pending litigation. I drove hours for hay bales, bartering with cash-poor neighbors, my F-150 groaning under loads. Old man Ramirez finally broke silence at the feed store, loading his truck beside mine. Lo siento, jaque. They threatened my pension, said I'd lose community perks. Perks? Golf carts and pool passes over neighborly blood. I clapped his shoulder, no blame, but the betrayal bit deep, another layer peeled. Revenge's itch returned, sharper now. Lance dug deeper, unearthing her skeletons. Not just bribes, but a trail of scorched earth from her climb. Sued ex-colleagues into bankruptcy, blackballed rivals with fabricated reviews. One bombshell, her trailer park, origins weren't grit but graft. Daddy a county commissioner who'd fast-track permits for her first flip, now senile in a Waco nursing home. I toyed with leaking it, anonymous drop to the press, but held back. Low blows beget lower. I wanted her fall clean, not muddied by mine. Winter bit early, frost glazing the pastures, cattle huddled like conspirators. The big hearing arrived. Full eviction trial, federal court in Austin. Her escalation, pulling interstate commerce strings via her firm's developers. Snow flurries dusted the city as I rolled in. Butch kenneled back home. Lance prepped with war stories. This is it, Jake. Win, and she's neutered. Lose. He trailed off. We both knew. Courthouse loomed modern, glass and steel, a far cry from county charm. Security won me thorough. No sidearm jokes this time. Then the gallery. Her camp diminished, a few loyalists in pastels, mine bolstered by podcasters and protest vets waving free the ranch flags. Karen entered last, gaunt in a pantsuit, Greg absent, kids ghosts in her absence. Our eyes locked across the aisle. Hers chips of flint, mine steady oak. No words, but the air crackled, unspoken volleys. Her team opened bombastic, experts in bow ties graphing economic blight from my outdated operation, projections of million-dollar gains from subdivision. Videos looped, drone shots of my eyesore barn, spliced with her terror footage. The judge, a no-nonsense Latino with silver streaks, leaned forward, brow furrowed. Lance countered surgical. Agronomists testifying to the ranch's aquifer role, vital carbon sink, they called it. Historians on Harlan Holdings predating statehood. My testimony closed, raw, unscripted. Your Honor, this lands in my veins. She wants to pave paradise for profit. But Texas don't bow to bullies. Deliberation stretched days, agony in limbo. I crashed at Lance's condo, chain-smoking menthols on the balcony, city lights mocking my solitude. Calls poured. Elena chasing updates, senator's aide dangling invites to testify on HOA reform. Even Riley checked in, voice gruff. Hang tight, kid. Word is, her bribes hit the DA's desk. Bribes. The dominoes teetered. Verdict day dawned clear, frost melting to mist. Court packed. I sat ramrod, pulse thundering. Judge cleared throat. Ms. Whitaker's claims dismissed with prejudice. Sanctions for frivolous filing. Mr. Harlan awarded costs and injunctive relief against further interference. The gavel cracked like thunder. Cheers deafened. Karen crumpled, head in hands, her lawyer patting futile. I stood slow, Lance hugging fierce. We did it, brother, but elation soured quick. Reporters swarmed. I mumbled platitudes, fleeing to the truck where solitude waited. Driving home, radio blared the win. HOA Queen dethroned in David versus Goliath land battle. Victory laps online, but my feed? Mixed. Legend. Alongside Pyrrhic. Look at the hate you stirred. Hate. It had metastasized. That night, fire pit crackling. I burned her letters, ashes swirling like freed spirits. But sleep evaded. Instead, a call at 2 a.m. Unknown number, woman's sob. Jake? It's Karen. Click. Blocked. But the breach unnerved, her ghost lingering. Spring thawed the fields, but not my frost. Lily returned full-time summers, her laughter a balm, teaching me hopscotch on the porch. The ranch bloomed. New calves, solar pumps courtesy of donors. Podcast thrived, episodes on legacy versus liability. Guests from Navajo elders to Cali vintners fighting sprawl. Reform stirred, bills in the hopper, capping HOA fines, mandating transparency. My name on them. Harlan Act. Legacy, earned in lead and law. Yet the bitter lingered. Probes revealed granddaddy shadows that defaulted loan tied to bootleg whispers, a cousin's scandal hushed with cash. IRS circled, audits peeling back veneers. And Karen? She vanished public, but ripples hit. Her firm folded amid scandals. She resurfaced in podcasts of her own, from power to peril, monetizing victimhood, voice ready with revision. Listeners lapped it. Some even donated to her recovery fund. Recovery. While I tallied scars. One evening, mailbox yielded her finale. Handwritten, postmarked Miami. Harlan, you took everything. Job, home, respect. But know this, I was saving you from ruin. Your legacy? A sinking ship. Enjoy the view from the wreckage. Enclosed, a photo, faded. Her, as a girl, pigtails and overalls, grinning gap-toothed on a dirt lot that looked too like my own. Wreckage. The parallel pierced, blurring lines between us. Two scrappers, both scarred by ambition's blade. I framed it, not burned. Reminder. Revenge circles, bites its tail. The ranch stood, but the man? Wiser, wearier, walking softer now. Summer scorched back, relentless as regret, baking the earth to powder and tempers to tinder. The Harlan Act passed committee, cheers in the Capitol, but gridlock loomed. Lobbyists like roaches, scuttling bills with whispers of property rights. My testimony loomed in D.C., a road trip east I'd dread, trading Longhorns for Beltway suits. Lily begged to tag along. See the White House, Daddy? But Mandy vetoed, citing unnecessary drama. Drama. Our lives, a soap opera scripted by spite. Podcast peaked, then plateaued, burnout a bitch. Guests blurred. Fiery activists, jaded lawyers. One teary ex-HOA pres confessing her fall. Listeners tuned for takedowns, but I pivoted personal, healing the harvest. Episodes on divorce dust-ups, parenting pitfalls, the quiet wars of holding ground. Ratings dipped, trolls crowed soft. But a DM hooked me. Your story saved my farm. How do I thank you? Thank. The word warmed, a counter to the cold calculus of clout. Karen Spector faded to folklore, but claws lingered. Her recovery fund ballooned to 6 figures, bankrolled by true believer Karens nationwide, funding a memoir ghosted slick. Covenants broken. A woman's fight against rural rage. Excerpts leaked. Me as the armed interloper. Her as martyr mom. Reviews gushed. Empowering. Protests reignited many. Pickets at my gate with Believe Women signs, though her claims rang hollow post-trial. I ignored, focusing on calving season. But one night, a brick through the window. Wrapped in her book page, scrawled payback. Payback. The cycle spun, vicious. Sheriff Riley pulled me aside at the diner, over pie a la mode. Got a bead on your brick thrower. Disgruntled Willow Creek holdout, hopped up on her Kool-Aid. But Jake? Walk away clean. This feud's a sinkhole. Sinkhole. Sage. But my boots were mired. Lance echoed, over scotch at his club. Settle? She's offering, drop the sanctioned suit. She withdraws appeals. Walk with your ranch intact. Intact. Tempting, but the photo in my desk drawer mocked mercy. Nah, full measure. DC Dawn Muggy, Lily's good luck charm. a braided leather bracelet tied on my wrist. Capitol Hill was a maze of marble and marble mouths, aides herding me to hearings where I testified terse. HOAs were mutual aid, not martial law. Cap the power or watch families fracture. Questions probed. Mr. Harlan, did personal animus cloud your judgment? Animus. Call it justice. I shot back. Applause rippled. Sponsors promised floor time. But hotel nights? Sleepless, scrolling her book promo. Smiling in seersucker, resilient redux. Resilient. We both bent, unbroken. Homecoming brought balm. Lily's whoops at the gate, calves butting my legs, rain finally cracking the drought. But fate's a jester. A week post-return, Ramirez knocked, hat twisting. Jake, emergency. Willow Creek's liquidating. Your buffer's in play. Developers circling. No Karen, but her blueprints. Blueprints. Her ghost. Engineering from exile. I rallied. Town hall at the VFW. Locals packed elbow to elbow. Beers foaming outrage. We stopping here. Toasts clinked. Alliances forged in sweat and spite. The fight reignited, fiercer. Petitions surged, eco-groups joined. My ranch, a biodiversity beacon. Wetlands worth millions in credits. Lance filed counters, tying sales to her fraud. Media looped back, Elena's follow-up. Ranchers reckoning, Act 2. But the toll mounted. Lily confided nightmares. Bad ladies taking our home. Mandy's custody push citing ongoing volatility. Volatility. My shield, now soared against me. Climax crashed Labor Day. Auction at the courthouse. Willow Creek's corpse car for condos. Bitters and Brioni, paddles poised, but we crashed. Protesters chaining gates. Me on a flatbed with megaphone. This land's legacy, not loot. Scuffles erupted. Deputies, Riley's crew, sympathetic, herded slow. Chaos peaked when she appeared. Karen, unannounced. Microphone in fist, flanked by cameras. I'm here to bid, she announced, voice amplified. To redeem my community from this. Obstructionist. Obstructionist. The crowd roared boo. I leaped down, face to face, Mike's hot. You lost, Whitaker. Go home. Her eyes, close, weren't fire. Defeat's dull ash. Home. You took it, Harlan. But watch. I'll rebuild elsewhere bigger. Bigger. The threat deflated. She was spent. A husk haunting her own hubris. Auction halted. Emergency stay from Lance's filing. Bitter scattering like spooked steers. Victory again, but pyre. Aftermath settled soft. Willow Creek dissolved. Buffer rezoned. AG forever. My fence a fortress. Harlan Act limped through. Signed by the Gov with my pen. Podcast wound down. Signing off, folks. Grounds held. Lily thrived. Braces glinting in braces. Mandy thawed to truces over coffee. Butch aged graceful. Gray muzzle on my knee. Karen? Last dispatch. Tabloid tidbit. Her in Boca. Hawking seminars to sunburned snowbirds. From CEO to survivor. No empire. Just echoes. Me? I walk the acres at twilight. Shotgun gathering dust. Granddaddy's voice in the wind. Held the line, boy. Now live it. Live. The bitter end? Not defeat, but the quiet truth. Revenge reaps hollow, but roots run deep. The ranch endures, a testament scarred but standing, under endless Texas sky. Epilogue whispers. Years on, Lily inherits, her hand steady on the deed. Daddy taught me, she says, eyes fierce. Taught. Legacy, full circle. No queens dethroned, just ground gained, one defiant step.